right now on the Clarity Windows and Doors Newsline. We say good morning to Chris Putnam, CEO of the Dallas Express, with us to talk about the ICE protests that are going on. Chris, good morning. Thank you for being with us on WBAP this morning. So the Attorney General wants to investigate the protests that have been going on. I guess using school children for some kind of political agenda is not cool.
Yeah, I don't think they're too happy with it. And of course, as you've seen, it seems to be metastasizing. He started with 3 districts. Dallas happens to be one of them, one in Austin, and then Manor ISD. But I think you're going to see a growing list there. We had stories this week on the situation in Boswell where literally like a socialist group came in and helped train students. And there were some questions about whether or not the principal was actively involved in that. There's just, as I said, it's metastasizing, and I think they're looking to try to find some legal way to tourniquet the situation before it continues to get out of control.
Is there a legal way to do that? Because I keep hearing the argument, do kids have a right to protest, or are they, until they're 18, told to sit down and shut up?
No, TEA has, emphasized that Texas law prohibits the use of taxpayer-funded resources to support political activism, particularly political activism that disrupts instruction during the school day. So they think that, there's plenty of legal grounds to hang their hats on. There's also some safety laws they're looking at. It's the mechanics of it that I understand are a little bit of a problem because today, we've seen as a bunch of tough talk from the TEA and from Mike Morath, who runs the TEA. And not a lot of action. My understanding, what our sources tell us, is that they're looking for a way legally to do that doesn't create, a lot of downstream problems. One of the issues is, you may know that your daily state of funding allotment shows up once the kid is in the seat at school at about 10 a.m. And then after that, that seat is effectively, that student is effectively funded. So they're looking, as an example, for ways to maybe change the time frame. Just things like that to kind of work around the law, or not work around the law, but find a way to make the law work for them in this case.
Chris Putnam, CEO of the Dallas Express. We've had listeners, actually, Chris, reach out to us in recent weeks and say, look, they took my kid. They took my kid to protest. Do I have any rights? I don't want my kid out there. First of all, it's not safe. Second of all, these are not my beliefs. I don't want my kid used as a pawn. Do parents have any rights here?
You would hope so, right? I agree. I don't know how you all feel about it, but it feels like it's starting to become purposeful. Mm-hmm. They're purposely creating and using students as pawns to create a disruption to achieve a political outcome, which is precisely what we did see in Minnesota. And, part of the problem up there, I think, was that the federal government probably didn't act quickly enough. And the biggest tool that they have, and this is true for the state of Texas as well, is the money. And if there's one thing that public school districts understand, it's money. And if you cut it off, the problem will end almost immediately. So it's, again, legally just about trying to figure out the mechanics of cutting off that daily allotment of state funding, which would obviously force the districts to go back to their local taxpayers to fill up the difference. And most people seem to believe that if you do that, then, this is over pretty quickly.
These protests attended by the students, I can pretty well guarantee you if you had them after school, they would be attended by about 3 people.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, exactly. These kids are going out there to get out of class.
And I think that what rubbed me as a parent the wrong way seeing is the little children. Now, I can understand if high school, if you're studying, I don't know, government, or maybe, and if you have parental permission, you get a permission slip possibly. But when you see elementary school children and they have made signs for them and they're walking them around, that's where all the mama, that's where people go, that's what red pilled me.
Yeah, exactly. The types of things that people saw during COVID and the types of indoctrination that was going on that actually activated a lot of parents and a lot of mothers and finally intervened and said, like, look, what's going on in our public schools is not okay. They're spending too much time doing indoctrination activities as opposed to just teaching them to read and write. And this is reinforcement of that. Unfortunately, I always tell people that when it comes to public school politics, it's generally about the adults and has nothing to do with the children. And it's a real dynamic that we have to deal with here in Texas, particularly because we have a lot of far left-wing lobbying groups like Texas Association of School Boards, Texas Association of School Administrators, and many others.
Yeah, and the proof's in the pudding when you see the scores and where we rank, in the world. It's a little bit of an embarrassment. I think we can say that openly now without any fear of retribution. Chris, CEO of the Dallas Express, I wanted to pivot quickly. You did the story on the H-1B visas. Not a lot of coverage locally, which is incredible. You guys did a great job crunching these numbers, finding a lot of local employers, big ones, big names, even the DISD hiring foreigners. Is it they're picking them over Americans, correct?
It's so interesting that you mentioned the DISD one. We did a completely separate story on that as well. But as you can see, 1,290 approvals. And people are like, why? What's the specialized technology skill set that the Dallas Independent School District needs? And the truth is there isn't one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with H-1B is it's being abused. And it's being used as pure labor arbitrage, and it's putting Americans out of work. I come from the tech industry originally, and this is a tech business basically that I'm in now. And there are some specialized skill sets that are more accessible in other regions, but not anything close to the extent that, we've leveraged the program now. And Dallas Independent School District is a great use case. A lot of those are people that we're bringing in, foreign nationals that we're bringing in to teach children English. So think about this. You have a foreign national that's being brought in to teach probably a non-American child English.
Yeah, it's baffling. And they had to spend millions on legal fee. It leaves us with more questions than we have time to get to right now. Chris Putnam, CEO of the Dallas Express, we thank you so much for your time. We will absolutely have you back on WBAP.
Thanks. You guys have a great day.